I think we can all agree that modern Minecraft feels a little bit bloated with how many features it has. Because of that, I decided to take a step back and I spent 100 days in Minecraft version 1.0. And this is how it went down. You guys know how day 1 goes. Spawn in, hit the tree next to me, start running. You know that tree I just broke in the last clip? Yeah, that was like a minute or two ago, and I'm already almost starving. This version is built entirely different. Of course, I didn't want to repeat the same mistake as last time, staying up the entire first night, so I made sure to kill some sheep immediately. Also found out the hard way that you can't break boats, like you can't pick them up in this version. It's either you get out or you break them. There's no in between. Dude, there's like no animals to eat on this land. Like, I'm starving. It's day 1. How am I starving? Fortunately, out of the 15 sheep I've seen on day 1, I found 2 chickens amongst the crowd, so nice. I'm not totally starving now. Ended day 1 after killing an entire family of cows, and hey, I have food now, so it's a win. Started day 2 by mining some coal I found at the side of a mountain. I didn't really want to have to struggle for coal like I'm struggling for food, so I decided to take it with me anyway. Boats break on lily pads. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Thanks. I decided to keep sailing out because if I hadn't said it before, I was on a stranded island, and I don't really care to have a limited amount of resources on a single island, especially if I need to venture out and find some more, so I was not living there. I did eventually sail onto a new piece of land that had a taiga biome and a desert with a village kind of all in the same general vicinity, so I decided this is where I was going to live. Of course, now that I decided where I was going to live, I decided I was also going to go mining because I didn't have a whole lot of resources to my name, and I actually found gold on my way down, which is pretty cool, but also kind of sucks because I don't have an iron pickaxe, so I can't mine it. I did eventually mine into this kind of closed off ravine though, which is pretty cool. After mining for a little bit though, I did decide that building a house would probably be a good thing to do, so I did start working on that. I decided to make the base of the house 2 blocks tall so it would give the house a little bit more depth, and of course, you know, I had to go with the checkerboard pattern, you know, with the spruce and the cobblestone, because it's easy, it's free, and it looks good. I'm also kind of in that phase of building the house where I'm just kind of throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks, because I have no idea what I'm really going for here. I just know that I need to get a house up, and I'm just seeing what I like. Well, in terms of aesthetic, it could definitely look better, but it's not bad for a start. Apparently there was a mine shaft in the ravine that I found earlier, so I decided to go back and explore that. You also may notice that I'm picking up rails and fences, and that's because these are 2 blocks that are extremely resource heavy and that I would rather not make out of my own pockets, so I'm picking them up in the mine shaft because, I mean, they're right there. I mean, I'm gonna use them, nobody else's, so. Okay, so I give modern Minecraft a lot of flack for being way too easy in terms of progression, but I did get really fortunate here and find a diamond, in the mine shaft, right next to a chest with even more diamonds, so, yeah. Oops. This is one thing I really like about version 1.0 though, is that it is way more rewarding to find diamonds, because you always get veins of 4 and 5 as opposed to veins of 1 and 2 like you do in modern Minecraft. That's not to say I hate modern Minecraft either, I just really like the feel of old Minecraft. There's something about it that feels so nice. I did also manage to find melon seeds, which is actually great for us because this is going to solve the food issue, mainly because I can grow my own food now and I don't have to rely on, you know, mob spawn rates. I did plan to have some sort of front porch for my house, so I wanted to terraform a little bit just so the environment would mesh a little better with the house. I started day 6 by building the porch I mentioned yesterday, and I did use some spruce logs to kind of give it a foundation sort of look to the porch, you know, to kind of mesh it with the environment and the house, make it look connected. I also used the fences I got from the mineshaft to add some more support to the bottom. I decided to swap the cobblestone and the spruce logs because, I don't know, something about it just looked better. In an effort to add more depth to the house though, I added some stairs to the base, just to give that little extra pop. The limited block choice for 1.0 is really showing at the front of the house. Not to mention the window borders, but at least I don't have to make these functional, as opposed to the stairs. Settled on something like this for the final design, and although it kind of takes up a lot of space, I'd rather have it take up more space than leave the left side of the house looking totally empty. The evolution of this house has been insane, by the way, because considering we started out with a literal wooden box and now we have depth and texture to it, yeah, it's come a long way in a short amount of time. The front windows were a little bit harder to work with as opposed to the side windows, mainly because I just have less space to work with. Yeah, the windows kind of look like they have eyebrows, but I think that's the best we're gonna get. Alright, good to know you can't put slabs on windows. Also, in all the years I've played Minecraft, this is going to be the first time I have actually made a roof for my house. I usually just make them flat. Right now, 90% of making this roof is less about building and more about thinking and making sure I'm actually placing the blocks in the right formation to where I can build a roof on top of them and make it look good. We've been working on the house for a while though, so I decided it was time for a break and I made a diamond pickaxe since I was going to the mines. Ultimately, I didn't find a whole lot, but I did get a lot of cobblestone, which is pretty good for the roof, so I guess that'll save us some time in the long run. I made sure to keep steady progress on the roof, because even though it's not my primary focus right now, I would like to keep chipping away at it so it doesn't take forever. Emphasis on the phrase chipping away though, because I was back in the mines at the start of day 10. Yes, I love when Endermen teleport through the wall, it's my favorite! Yay! I also found some pumpkin seeds while I was in the mines, and they're not as good as the melon seeds, but I'll take them nonetheless. Day 10 was the polar opposite to day 9, because unlike day 9, I actually found a lot of really good resources in the mines, you know, besides cobblestone. Went back to chipping away my roof at the start of day 11, and you can definitely see my inexperience showing, because I'm checking every minute detail to make sure everything is in place. You know, for baby's first Minecraft roof ever, this isn't bad. It's a little rough around the edges, mainly because it's not done yet, but you can see the final picture and it doesn't look bad. This is one of the things I like about 1.0 though, is that because there's not a super expansive block catalog to choose from, you have to use what you have creatively. Not to mention the simplistic block catalog also forces the building style to be generally way more simpler than it would ever be in modern Minecraft, which is something I really like. Seeing as I didn't have a set food source yet, I figured my next project being a farm of some sort would be a good direction to go in. Also, now is a better time more than ever because I just got a bunch of seeds from the mines, so I really shouldn't have an excuse to not have food at this point anymore. Given the way that crops work in 1.0, that being if you step on them they break, pathways in between each piece of farmland were necessitated, just so it would speed up the harvesting process. I need gravel, said literally no one ever. I think this is the only time I've ever used gravel to build with. For a farm that just started, it's looking pretty good so far. I mean, of course, nothing is grown yet, but given the fact that I have crops to plant at all is pretty good. Went back to the mines after I finished my farm up just for some downtime in between projects, and I found some diamonds while I was mining. Completely accidental, by the way, but I'll still take them all the same. Made my way back to the surface, and I decided to add a fence around my farm because 1, it was looking a little bit naked, yes, naked, and 2, it would prevent any random mobs from walking on my crops all willy-nilly. I also decided to start fishing just to alleviate some of the pressure of not having any food. Yeah, I know I'm spending 100 days in version 1.0, but I probably should have made sure to check if fishing worked the exact same way as it does in modern Minecraft. And because I was so keen on not starving to death, I ran over to the village and took some of their wheat, free of charge. The good thing about having a village right next to me though is that even if I can't trade with the villagers, I can at least take the wheat seeds and plant them in my farm. Started day 15 by getting some fences from the mines. I guess in terms of super substantial progress, day 15 wasn't all that crazy or anything, but I did terraform some of the land around the farm just to make it appear more natural. Yeah, today's really just a lot of touching up on the base. I put some torches on the farm fences so that mobs wouldn't spawn there. Started work on a storage shed at the start of day 16. Is it a little bit unnecessary? Maybe. But Minecraft is a sandbox game, so technically it's not unnecessary. I was trying to use inverse materials for the shed. Where the house had wood walls, I wanted there to be stone walls. I ended up hitting bedrock a lot sooner than I thought when I went back to the mines. I just needed some more gravel, but apparently I just found out that I'm modern Minecraft build. Okay. Also, I may or may not have gotten just a teensy bit distracted and explored the rest of the mines while I was there. Am I still picking up rails? Yes. Yes, I am. Am I ever gonna get to use them? I don't know. Yes, let's go. More diamonds. Started day 18 by digging into a lake. Didn't really feel like finding the way out of the cave I was exploring, so I just opted to dig straight up instead. Got back to work on the shed and I threw in a dab of color with the log border on the bottom. Also, you guys are going to be very proud of me, because I didn't use a checkerboard pattern. I opted for stripes instead. It's nothing too fancy, but that's exactly what I was going for. And honestly, I think it looks pretty good. I also decided to have a gravel path that connects the shed to the house. It keeps the base kind of unified and it looks pretty nice. Also, I definitely learned my lesson from last time, because I'm not waiting till the last second to plant sugarcane. And I added some torches to my front porch. Adds a little bit of cozy lighting, keeps the mob spawns down. Overall, pretty good thing to add. I wanted to have a big painting in my house, but unfortunately because of the dimensions I used, I can't actually have anything except for a 1 block sized painting, so that kinda sucks, but it's whatever. Day 20 also marked the start of the construction on my furnace room, because I needed like 20 furnaces and I'm not putting all of those in my house. That's gonna look super ugly. You know, in hindsight, day 20 was actually a really productive day. I started the furnace room and I made the outline for my enchantment room. The idea here is that I'm gonna make half of the furnace out of stone slabs and then the other half out of stone bricks, just to throw in some variety, but generally I want to keep the building made out of stone. That being said, I would need a lot of furnaces to smelt all the stone I needed, so of course I made some more. A big thing I was trying to improve on from the last 100 days though was definitely utilizing my time better, because I felt like for the last 100 days I was kind of just burning time, just kind of AFKing here and there. This time I wanted to constantly do something. Speaking of always doing something, the furnace building was actually coming together pretty fast. And while we're on the topic of the furnace building, the top of the building actually wasn't as accurate to the block as I had liked it to be, so I decided to refurbish that part. Don't mind me, just waiting for this cobblestone to smelt. Yep. With how grayscale the furnace building was, I decided to add a cobblestone border around the entire building, just because it added a little bit of a pop and made it stand out a little bit more. With the addition of the cobblestone border, I did decide to change the previously cobblestone details to stone brick, just to make them stand out against the border. Well, now the building just looks too tall and not wide enough, so it just kind of looks odd. That being said, I changed it effectively immediately because I didn't like how it looked and I'm not settling for that. Despite basically having to start from where I was like 2 days ago, it doesn't look bad already. I mean, you can see the general shape and it already looks a lot better than how it was before. And it's back to mining out the enchantment room for more cobblestone. Because I expanded the build though, I did decide to go for normal stone instead of stone bricks. I just think it looks a little bit better. And even though the back wall is all stone bricks, I did include the top half of the back wall as well. I was also able to start putting together the floor of the enchantment room. Not that it's a whole lot of progress, but you can see the general layout I'm going for. The age-old building technique of doing stuff and seeing if it sticks. We'll see. I also wanted to see how pillars would look in the room, so I decided to test that out, and honestly they add to the elegant feel, so I'll keep them. And I ended up immediately replacing the cobblestone with spruce logs, because it just fits the library aesthetic a little bit more. Excluding the bookshelves and the roof, this is pretty much the final design of the enchantment room, and honestly, it looks pretty good. I'm very happy with this. Of course, you know I had to tat up the enchantment room with some golden lapis, because, well, the enchantment table is supposed to be elegant. These are two pretty elegant blocks. Being done with the actual furnace building itself though means I could actually start working on the floor, finally. I couldn't help myself. I had to go for a checkerboard pattern here. It's just too easy. And you can hypothetically hate all you want to, it doesn't even look bad either. I'll be quite honest, it just doesn't look bad. Also, I wanted a reason to use lava, and the lava kind of ties together the whole furnace, blacksmith aesthetic, so you bet I was using it. I wanted to decorate the furnace building with iron and gold ore, but unfortunately I didn't have any gold ore on me right now, so for now we'll just settle with iron. I didn't originally intend for the roof design to turn out like this, I just kind of kept building and experimenting and it eventually evolved into this, and honestly I'm pretty happy with how it looks. On a semi-related note though, the enchantment table didn't actually line up with where the center of the roof was, so I wanted to make those line up. I thought it'd look pretty cool. You know, this might be a piping hot take, but I honestly think the book crafting recipe is better like this. I'm just not a big fan of farming for leather, it takes forever. I had to cheap out and fill in the roof with cobblestone. I'm sorry, I'm just not waiting like 30 more minutes just to fill in the roof with stone bricks, or X stone item here. It's just not happening. I did, however, decide to finally add an official entrance to my enchantment room, because I kinda don't like just, you know, having a hole in the back of my house. This is the point where I decided I was going to connect everything with a gravel pathway. It gives everything a sense of unity in the base. I also did not know that you could craft clocks in this version. I'm glad I tried though. And I made a minor adjustment to the furnace room by adding a border in between the lower half and the upper half. Took a break from expanding the base day 31 and decided to go to the mines. I got some gold. That'd be pretty useful in the furnace room for some decoration. Also got my hands on some diamonds. Sweet! I figured it might be a good idea if I actually grabbed some obsidian while I still have a diamond pickaxe to grab it with. Oh, okay, there's another section of the mineshaft. Cool. This is either a really big mineshaft or there's 2 mineshafts. Got it. And it's the gift that keeps on giving. There's another part of the mineshaft. Okay. Ignoring the abnormally expansive mineshaft though, I did find another vein of diamonds, so hey, I'll take it. On top of that, I found a mineshaft with an open roof, so I kind of just fell into it, but that's still pretty cool. And the fruits of my labor awarded me 2 saddles. Not that saddles are super useful because horses don't exist in this version, but I'll take them nonetheless. The really valuable part here is the mossy cobblestone, because you can't actually get it anywhere else, so I will definitely be taking all of this with me. Only took me the rest of day 34 to get out of the cave, but I started day 35 by making my way out of said cave. With my newly acquired mossy cobblestone though, I was able to spruce up the paths in between the base. And I was also able to replace the iron ore with some gold ore here and there in the furnace room. I didn't have a super concrete idea of what I wanted to put on the second floor in the furnace building, so I just put some more furnaces. Not to mention I was able to make an enchantment table now that I had some diamonds. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Obligatory sugarcane farming. Yeah, I really didn't do much day 36. It's okay though, because I would make up for it by building the largest building in scale for my entire base. That building's a barn, by the way, in case it wasn't clear. It's a barn. It's a barn, by the way, yeah. I wasn't trying to go for a very complex look for the barn. I know I wanted it to be made out of wood, because, I mean, it's a barn. Have you ever seen a barn made out of, like, cobblestone or anything? And maybe it's because of the simplicity of the building, but it honestly didn't take me that long to get to the roof. I figured this would take a lot longer, considering the length of all my other builds, but this one not so much. Would you believe me if I said this wasn't the worst part about building? I did want to add a sort of border around like I had on my house, so I decided I was going to border the roof with logs. And even though I had to go back and kind of rework how the roof was, I like how it turned out. Not bad. I mean, it's a roof, it's not that complex or anything, but I still like how it turned out. I could realistically be done with the outside at this point, but I wanted to experiment with how the roofs were on the doorways. I mean, they didn't have a roof, but I kind of wanted to see if they'd look good with one. I ultimately decided to go with the roof aesthetic for the doorways. It doesn't add a whole lot, but it doesn't take away, so I'll keep it. With the outside being done though, I can finally work on the inside, and the inside isn't very complex in itself. And the reason it's not complex is because I don't really have to do a whole lot of changing for the inside. I just need to light it up and have a path going through the inside. I mean, I'm not changing the grass, the animals are going to live there, so I don't need to get rid of that. You know, for someone who doesn't take into account the shapes and sizes of stuff a lot, the pins worked out pretty well, because I didn't think about that when I was making the dimensions at all. Insert obligatory path going to farm here. Unironically, I did just spend a lot of today working on paths throughout the base. That work also included putting flowers around each pathway in the base, or at least attempting to. I didn't have that many flowers, so. Daily sugarcane harvest. With the most recent harvest though, I was actually able to finish off the bookshelves in my enchantment room, so now I can enchant at max level. Since we are nearing day 50 though, I would like to have a nether portal ready to go, so I started working on that as well. Usually I have more of an explicit idea as to what I'm going for, but for the platform I was going to make the nether portal on, I kind of just knew I wanted a platform. I didn't really know all the details. Chucking in some pillars, maybe they look good, maybe they don't, we'll find out. Also fixed a minor issue with the cobblestone border on the furnace. Okay. Started experimenting with the design on the platform. I don't really know what vibe I should be going for here, because I don't have mossy stone bricks, so I can't make it like a grown over sort of platform, but I have mossy cobblestone. I don't know, I'm just kind of seeing what sticks here. For some reason I also thought having super clean looking iron blocks and mossy cobblestone was definitely the way to go. No, I don't think it is. Ultimately I realized that the cobblestone and the mossy cobblestone just wasn't going to work, so I decided to get rid of the cobblestone idea entirely and just go with all stone bricks. Even though it looks a little bit more basic and a little bit more simplistic, I still think it looks nice. There's a clear direction that we're taking here, rather than having 50 themes in one building. And you know me, I have to throw some gold and iron flare in there, of course, because gold doesn't have a huge purpose, but it looks super decorative. And I ended the day by lighting the nether portal, ready to go for day 50. Well, it could be a lot worse. You already know I had to take some glowstone with me. This block is way too decorative not to use. Surprisingly, it didn't take me that long to find a fortress. I thought this would take me like 10 days, but no, I found it immediately. Of course, I kind of despise the nether, so I'm just going to grind the amount of places I need and then get out, and that's the game plan. I'm not coming back here. Alright, back in the overworld, and I'm immediately putting the glowstone in because it looks a lot more cohesive than the gold and iron did. You can't tell me this isn't cinema. Like, look at it. Come on now. Somehow, even with melons and wheat, I'm going through a food scarcity again, so I have to go steal from the village. With the lack of food though, now is a very opportune time to fill out the barn, so that's exactly what I did. Surprisingly enough, it actually didn't take that long. Just got a really big pack of animals on my first go, so hey, it's a win. I would like to go back to the mines at some point, mainly because I don't have enough diamonds to make a full set, so I did prepare for that. I also managed to get an extra cow while I was leading a chicken back to my barn. I mean, I guess he's here now. I'm not gonna say no. Of course, you already know I had to make a cake. It's like a main stake in progression. Alright, back to thieving and robbing at the start of day 54. And today's the day I started my mining expedition. I did want to try branching off to a different cave system because for the entire playthrough so far I'd just been mining in the same hole, so I figured I'd go out and explore and find a different area to mine in, maybe get some more resources that way. I think genuinely this has to be the biggest mineshaft I have ever seen though. Either that or like I said before, I'm just getting really fortunate with these mineshaft generations because there's no way that we've found like 4 different mineshafts. It's gotta be all connected, somehow. Had to resort to the age-old strategy of boxing myself in a 1x2 because I was not dying all the way down here underground away from my house. It's just, no, I'm good. I did eventually get to branch off away from the mineshaft and I found this kind of open sort of cavern area with a lot of exposed ores and some lava, so that's pretty nice. Also found a zombie spawner. And the loot is less than desirable, but it's something, so I'll take it. But the main appeal of a spawner is the mossy cobblestone, because again, you can't get it anywhere else, so hey, more mossy cobblestone for me, I'll take it. I also did find a mineshaft chest immediately after with 2 diamonds in it, so kinda made up for the trash loot in the dungeon. And while we're on the topic of diamonds, I did go back to the cavern area I found previously and I got 2 more diamonds. Given the state of my armor and the amount of loot I had, I decided at the start of day 59 that it was time to make my way back to the surface. Safe to say, with the absolutely ludicrous haul that I got from the mines, I would not be running out of iron anytime soon. Coal's a different story, because I have like 20 bajillion furnaces, but I wouldn't be running out of iron. I'm not sure if you can replant cocoa beans in this version, but I didn't care to find out, because I just made cookies with mine. And with all the bones I got from the mines, I was able to actually tame a wolf before the end of the playthrough. And another one. Well, I mean, if I have 2, I can't just have 2, I need a 3rd one to make it an odd amount, right? Or something like that. I don't know, I just need a justification for a 3rd one. Look, gold tools get a lot of flack. Is it deserved? Maybe. Is it undeserved? Maybe not. But I want an excuse to use one. I mean, I like them. They've got good enchanted. Oh, it's broken. Okay. I decided to spoil myself a little bit since I got a lot of diamonds on the mining expedition and also enchanted my diamond sword that I made. I got fire aspect, and I'm a sucker for damage over time, so I'll take it. Seeing as food was once again an issue though, I wanted to make a farm to go along with the barn I just made. Seemed pretty fitting, and I was planning on making this farm a bit bigger than the one I originally made. Having an entire army of dogs is kinda sick, I can't lie. Yeah, the whole army of dogs thing didn't last very long because 2 of my dogs just got blown up by a creeper. Stumbled upon an open roof mineshaft that was protruding through the ground, and because it was actually so close to the surface, I could actually make use of this. And make use of it I did, because I immediately started cleaning it up at the start of day 61. I cleaned up the general area and got the basic shape of it going, where the mobs would fall, where I would stand so I could kill the mobs, where the door would be so I could do maintenance, you know, the works. And that's pretty much what I did the entire day until nightfall. The reason why I've actually stayed up till nighttime the last 2 days though, instead of just going to sleep, is because I want to farm Endermen. Endermen in 1.0 have usually given me a lot of trouble. Whether they don't spawn or they just don't drop ender pearls, they've given me some sort of trouble, so I'd rather get the jump on that now than later. It also helped that there was an absolutely massive desert right next to my base, so I didn't have to worry about rain. Kept working on my new farm at the top of day 62. Didn't intend on eating this cake, I was mainly making it for decorative purposes, but food is kinda scarce and I need to keep working on the farm, so it is what it is. This farm was actually shaping up quicker than I thought it would. I was making a lot of progress in a short amount of time. I would like to not completely forget about my initial first farm though, so I tried replanting the melon seeds and seeing if that would do anything. Luckily for me, I had a ton of wheat seeds stored up in my storage shed. Mainly because I had a full farmland full of wheat already, so once you have all of the wheat you need, you just kind of start building up excess seeds. Obligatory gravel pathway, and I ran out of gravel so I had to go get some in my mineshaft. Didn't know if these melons and pumpkins were going to be any different from the last ones I planted, but doesn't hurt to try. Finally picked up all the iron I put into the furnaces ages ago. I kinda just forgot these were here and left them sitting. And made a diamond shovel while I was at it. I got unbreaking on my diamond shovel, which is probably the enchantment I want the most, mainly just for the longevity of my tools, because I don't exactly have a whole lot of excess diamonds to throw away. Yeah, this was definitely a good investment. Since the seeds weren't bugged, I tried hoeing the ground next to my melons and pumpkins to see if that would actually fix anything. And apparently that was the issue, because I didn't even get to finish hoeing all the ground before a pumpkin grew in. I decided to make the gravel pathway that I was making in the new farm go around the entire farmland. I thought it would look pretty fitting, and I do intend on connecting it from both sides of the barn. I also like to add little specks that branch outside of the actual base pathway itself. It just adds a little bit of texture and just looks nice. I should probably add fences to this later, but for now I think that's enough. Also ignore the fact that I forgot to do an entire section of the farm. I just kind of left the water block sitting right there. I've never formally recognized or mentioned it, but I used the wrong dimensions for the portal pedestal, so the portal ends up facing the wrong way, which is okay I guess, but it just kind of looks off. With the farm now being done though, I decided to go back to work on the mob farm. There is one big benefit from this though, and it's that I'll have a ton of cobblestone after the fact. And ended the day by digging up a staircase to the surface. Needed a way to get in and out. Started day 67 by unfortunately filling in some holes near the spawner. Normally holes wouldn't bother me this much around a spawner, but unfortunately I do need the mobs to spawn in the designated area I set up for them, because if they don't spawn there then they're not going to fall down and I can't kill them for the EXP, so I needed to patch them up. That being said, this is pretty much what I spent most of the day doing. Man, I can't understate how nice it is to have food again. Like, I'm not starving all the time. And back to work on the farm. I needed to have some sort of cover for the mob farm, because if there was light intruding in, then I wouldn't be able to get mobs to spawn. So because of that, I decided I was going to go with like a stone brick dome, kind of like a dungeon aesthetic, but not just exclusively cobblestone. Took me until sunset, but I almost had the entire area set up like how I wanted it to. Also, as a nice little decorative touch, I added some cobblestone specks outside of the initial ring. And this is exactly why I wanted to fill in the holes, because the skeleton spawned up there. Okay. Living out the consequences of my own actions in real time. Or would it be inactions, because technically I didn't fill in the holes the first time, so that would be not doing something. I don't think it really matters what I use to fill in the gaps here, just as long as there's not light leaking in, so I'm using wood. You're not going to be able to see it anyway. And there we go, we now have a functional skeleton spawner. And we have an immediate change. I had to get rid of the slabs because it was stopping the mob drops from actually getting out. Given that it's day 70, or rather night 70, I needed to start the Enderman grind now, so that's exactly what I did, even though I said I was going to do it before. Dude, I'm telling you, Endermen are just menaces in this version. Like, all they do is spam teleport off cooldown. Things are going pretty good though, I'm getting a lot of Endermen out here. I would say for 1.0, 5 pearls in one night is pretty good, but I think in Minecraft at all, 5 pearls in one night is great. You can't tell me blocking isn't the most overpowered thing that has ever been put into this game. Like, I literally took no damage from one of these explosions. You know, I probably should have taken my armor breaking as my cue to leave. Took me all of day 72 to get back, but I did finally get back and all of my stuff was still intact, which is way more than I can ask for. And back on the grind, I need more ender pearls. Okay bro, we get it. You're not tough like that. Finally had enough ender pearls to make the eyes of ender that I needed at the start of day 74. Alright, let's get this show on the road. It would be so awful if the stronghold was just in the middle of the ocean. I would hate that. Guys, it's in the ocean. I guess it's not all bad though. I did find this cool underwater ravine. You guys are free to keep track of the mineshaft count, by the way, because I'm sure not doing it with the amount I've seen. After only a small amount of digging though, I did end up hitting the stronghold. You know, normally I'd be more excited about a library, but given that it's 1.0, I'm not too stoked about it. I can't get enchantment books, and books are like really easy to make, so these things are just kinda useless. On a more positive note though, I did find some ender pearls while I was down there, and that means we don't have to go farm endermen again. No matter how far we go, we just can't escape the mineshaft. It's everywhere, all the time. I'm not complaining or anything, I just think it's fascinating how there's literally been a mineshaft consistently every single time we've went underground this entire playthrough. So I may or may not have gotten a little bit distracted. It was all in vain though, I didn't find a whole lot of anything, but at least we know now. In the best interest of time, I decided to start blocking off areas I had already been, because for the last 2 days I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, so I'd like to get out of here with the portal and where it is at this point. And once I started doing that, it didn't take me long at all to find the end portal. You said, go back the way I came from? No. Nah, I'm good. Of course, you know, I had to mark where this area was so I didn't have to go on a wild goose chase again just to find it. Finally made my way back to my base at the start of day 78. I didn't show it, but we actually did get some apples from the stronghold, which is nice because that's the only place you can actually get them in this version. And with us almost being at day 80, I decided to write down some goals I had before the end of the playthrough. Originally, I didn't actually intend on making a pool at all. That was until my dad walked in and saw my entire base, and he asked where the pool was, and of course I didn't have one made, so now I feel obligated to make one. I marked all the elevation changes with dirt. Every time there was a piece of dirt, the water would get deeper by 1. It also didn't take me too long to figure out that I was going to make the floor out of stone slabs. With a lot of the pool being made of stone, I figured I needed to go strip mining, and maybe I could get some diamonds while I was at it. Oh, and find diamonds I did, although I was kind of going for that, it was a nice surprise nonetheless. And we live in a strip mining meta. So we should be pretty set on stone for the time being. We have 8 stacks of stone and 4 diamonds from 1 day of mining, so I think we're pretty good. The good thing about making a pool though is that I needed to mine sand, and doing this actually gives me the opportunity to mine the sand I need without going out of my way to do it. See, if I didn't have to place 2 slabs for every single block, this would go a lot faster, but unfortunately you can't place slabs on top. It has to be 2 blocks. I also don't know how I messed this up, because I managed to put slabs a level below where I needed them to be. Again, I don't know how I messed it up, but that's something I did. Nobody ever talks about this, but it is like nearly impossible to see underwater once you go too deep. Like, it's actually ludicrous. Given how dark it was, I did want to light the pool up, and we had just the right amount of glowstone. And it also looks pretty nice, to be quite honest. Also, the corners of the pool were poking a hole in my side with how sharp they were, so I did decide to smoothen them up a little bit. You know, I thought this was going to be a lot more tedious, but the water not leaking in actually makes this 10 times easier. I was really debating on using stone brick, but I honestly think the normal stone just looks a lot better for the walls of the pool. And we have the finished product. I mean, what you see is what you get. It's a pool, but I think it looks pretty good, considering the blocks we have to our disposal. Obligatory path number 7. Now that we were done with the pool, though, I wanted to move on to my next project, and that was the tower. Given that there was this pretty conveniently placed hill in the back of the base that overlooks everything, I decided that was where I wanted to build the tower at. Kind of free ball in the height here, I just know I want it to be really tall. Given the height that I want the tower to be, though, I definitely need a lot of wood for that. I totally forgot that they changed the recipe in later versions. Good to know. You know, I know it makes less sense, but I honestly wouldn't mind if they just kept the recipe like this. It's gonna be a long way up. Not long enough though, still got time left in the day. I wanted to have some sort of staircase going up. I'm definitely not opting out for a ladder, but I don't really know how I want to do that, so I just kinda did the thing I usually do, where I do something and then I'll fix it later. 86 days in, and we finally found a normal slime. Let's go. You'd think after that mining expedition I had I'd be good on stone, but now we just need normal cobblestone. Hey, we got some more diamonds though. I'm telling y'all, strip mining is the way. Well, I finally made it to the top. I just don't know how I'm gonna make it look nice with the staircases going inside the tower. I didn't want the stairs to just look like they were hanging there, so I decided to add some support beams. Started work on the top of the tower, and I didn't really have a concrete plan as for how I wanted this thing to turn out. I just knew it was going to match the rest of the base in terms of aesthetics. Started day 88 by making a full set of diamond gear. All those diamonds I got from strip mining really came in clutch. And with all the wood I need for the tower, I figured I might as well go ahead and make a diamond axe. Got him breaking on my diamond axe. Probably the best enchantment I could ask for because I'm trying to extend the longevity of my tools. I wanted to leave some sort of opening at the front of the tower just so I could have a view of the base as a whole. I also made sure to leave a gap for another window just for a different angle. With the gaps for the glass now being established on the tower, now was a better time than any to get the sand smelting. I also ultimately decided I didn't like how the staircase looked on the outside. It just kinda looked detached and not a part of the tower. The inside of the tower is a different story though, because having the stairs here actually looks a lot more cohesive than the outside. Not to mention with the stairs being inside, that also fixes the issue of how I'm going to get inside the tower, because I can just have the stairs leading directly into it. You know, the glass is functional, but it just doesn't look as good as I imagined it would have. And that is very evident when you look at it from the outside, because although every side is flat, the glass just kind of looks like it puts a dent in the tower. I decided to replace the glass with a balcony, because I think for a tower that would be generally more fitting anyway. Almost died because I didn't properly catch myself in the water. I'll definitely not do that again. This is kind of a bad angle, but the tower looks better already with the balcony. All I need to do is add some support to it. Oh, and add support I did. Of course, no balcony is complete without precautionary safety rails. With the pool and the tower now being completed, the only thing I had left to do, on my to-do list at least, was the Nether Portal Railroad, and that's exactly what I went to the mines for, because I needed more obsidian. Of course, I wasn't super stoked about building this. I mean, it's the only build I have to make where I explicitly mine out a straight path in one or two directions, just to, like, place down a bunch of blocks. Like, I don't know, it's just not that fun to build. It's really just for convenience sake. But with the obsidian now under my belt, I will go to the end portal and now work backwards from the end portal to my base, because that's going to be way easier than trying to do it the other way around. And of course we had to watch the sunset to end day 91, because this was way too scenic not to watch. You know, it might have helped in making the portal if we actually brought the flint steel and the stuff we need to make the railroad. All the gold I'd been saving up finally came in clutch, because I actually didn't think about making powered rails before this. Alright, time to do the thing where we light the portal and we go in. So, it may or may not have used the exact same portal spawn as the portal at my base, so that's a no on the portal highway. At the very least, the portal does go back to my base, so I don't have to actually walk back to my base, but I do have to walk to the portal, which is fine because it's not very far away anyway. With the recent discovery that the Nether Portal Railroad is not possible to build because there's not two portals, there's only one, we are now done with our goals, so that was nice. With us being so close to the end of the 100 days though, I'm running out of stuff to do, so for the entirety of day 93, I just sat in the mob grinder and farmed EXP. And the same goes for day 94 as well. And day 95. So originally for day 96 I was going to have a whole base tour and it was this whole thing that I did, but after looking at the footage I decided that I didn't like how day 96 just totally killed the pacing of the video, so you'll see the whole base, but it won't be for day 96. Only took me 97 days, but I finally remembered to make a brewing stand. And I pretty much just spent the entire day making potions because, yeah, they kind of take a while to make. Am I making poison? Yes. Yes, I am. Is it convenient? No. No, not really. Do I like damage over time? Yes, I do. Day 98, I started setting up an inventory chest that I could use for the dragon fight. And why, you may ask? Because I need something to do. It's like 2 days away from the end of the playthrough. So pretty much all of day 98 was spent just gathering resources to fill out that chest. I made sure to grab way too much wheat that I could ever use for the dragon fight because I was not going to die of starvation in the dragon fight or not be able to regenerate. It's just, no, I'm not doing that. I got a pretty solid chest set up so far, and I thought I would have to make arrows, but I definitely won't because the skeleton spawner is feeding me for days. Speaking of skeleton spawner, that is exactly where I spent the rest of day 98 as soon as I got my chest setup finished, because I wanted to try to get at least one enchantment on my bow before the dragon fight. Yeah, so speaking of bow enchantments, those don't exist in 1.0, so we're just gonna have to ride with this normal bow. With everything being said and done, I then made my way to the stronghold. Not much left for us now. Took it easy the rest of day 99 once I got to the stronghold. Not much left for us to do, and there's not enough time to do anything major anyway. Alright, starting off day 100 strong by popping the eyes into the end portal frames. You know, nobody talks about it at all, but the version 1.0 end is drastically different from the end that we know today, and while I have my thoughts on it, it's not bad. So, I thought I was going a little overboard by bringing 3 stacks of arrows with me to the end, but given the amount of crystals I have to shoot down and my accuracy, 3 stacks seems like just enough. You know, throwing 1 poison potion at 1 enderman really doesn't do a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but I don't know, I just like using it, it's fun. With the center of the end being non-existent, the dragon doesn't really perch down, so you can't hit it with your sword a whole lot. The only time you're hitting it is whenever it flies by, and you get a tag on it. After way too long though, we finally beat the dragon, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a little anticlimactic. You can say whatever you want about it being anticlimactic though, because oh my goodness, this thing just feeds you experience, like it's actually insane. You already know we're taking the dragon egg with us. No second thoughts given. With that being said and done though, we had just officially spent 100 days in Minecraft version 1.0 and beaten the game on top of it. With 100 days under our belt, I don't think I really have to tell you whether you should or shouldn't play version 1.0. I think you know that for yourself by now. But what I can tell you is that version 1.0 is a very, very nice step back from modern Minecraft. There's not as many features, it's very minimalistic for Minecraft. All of that to say that I would highly recommend version 1.0 for anybody looking for an excuse to play Minecraft again. But with that being said, I'll catch you all on the flip side.